Hello, everyone. Wait, where's the camera? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Think Ribbon, the podcast where we talk about the things that we think about. Today's a very special episode because I am joined by my buddy Lopez, who is not only a friend of mine, but also someone who owns a house, which is what this whole thing is going to be about. If you watched my hopefully vlog that went up, you probably came here from there wondering what we have to tell you about being a millennial homeowner, but we're here to help. So I'll let Lopez start first because you bought your house first. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we were, me and my girlfriend both working from home during COVID, kind of when all that started. So we were both virtual at the time in an apartment, and maybe lasted about 3 to 6 months before we were like ready to choke each other. And we were like, I think it's time to look for a house. So kind of get into like the actual hunt for it, because it was during the crazy time where there wasn't a whole lot of houses in the market. We were very lucky to come upon ours. But it was the transition from apartment life to home, maybe in less than like 6 months. But I absolutely love it. I wouldn't go back. Wouldn't want to.
Right. Okay. And I just literally moved across the country. I moved from California to Ohio, and I went from a tiny apartment that was ridiculously expensive to living in a full-ass house. Let me just, like, in case people haven't seen, this is so far, it's still being unpacked. That's my whole work area just for my office. Like, it's so nice. And I want to make something very, very clear from the beginning. I know that a lot of YouTubers are like, oh, look at all this YouTube money. I'm buying a house and like, I'm rich now. That is not what happened here. I've been saving my money because I don't know what to do with it. And I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, I can't do this anymore. It's become a quality of life issue. So me and my partner went half in, like, on the down payment for a house. Like, I'm not rich. I'm upgrading, but not in the way that, you know, people normally associate. But I think the number one question I'm going to get is, why did I leave California and why did I pick Ohio? And it comes down to two major factors. There's a lot of little things, but the two major factors are, of course, real estate. The median, as in like the average house price in San Diego, where I was just living, just hit $1 million. The average. I don't know how people live there. And like, when we sold our place, we had a bidding war, and I'm very pleased to say that we did not sell to the evil bank people who were planning on flipping it and renting it out and trying to like screw people. So I'm very proud of that. But there's that. And then there's the impending doom of climate change, which is going to destroy coastal cities and God knows what else. And, you know, California is always on fire. And it was just like, you know what, like, let's just go somewhere else. And so far, it's been beautiful here. Like, the people are nice. The air is amazing. There's green stuff everywhere. There's little animals running around my front yard. It's great. But when it comes to like why I chose Ohio, it's just all these little things add up. And, you know, when you start weighing the benefits, it's just a no-brainer.
Plus the fact that it's not on fire all the time really helps, I bet, too. So
yeah.
And that is true. California is always on fire.
Like, literally. Like,
can we do something about that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, just today, or maybe last night, I can't remember when it was, they announced that like now California and Nevada are like on a very, very strict water saving thing because of the drought and all that.
Oh, Arizona, no, we got something similar too, like maybe a week or two ago. Like, we're not in the danger zone yet where they're going to start to like regulate it, but it's in the news, and we're getting like things on our phone saying like, hey, be aware, like this is going to be a problem soon. So
I'm just going to see if my camera looks better here. I just feel weird because you're on both of my monitors and I don't know where to look.
You're like cross-eyed. Which way?
Is that okay? Does that look okay?
Looks like you're taking a selfie though. There you go.
All right, I'll do that. So then I can like look for it. I just feel weird. I'm like, I don't know where to look.
I'm literally like staring right at you. So that's kind of
cool. Well, now I'm staring at you, drinking your White Claw.
It's a Truly. So these are all from girlfriend's birthday, and they're really gross. But she's like, you need to drink up because there's so much junk in the fridge. So I'm the one that has to drink.
And you're like, my favorite.
Yeah, I'm like, thanks. There was, okay, so these are really gross, but this is watermelon cucumber. I don't like this one, but there was like a strawberry one that was really good, but I went through those like real quick. So
yeah, anyway. Lopez is sponsored by Truly. Use code BROPEZ for 30% off.
Speaking of which, I know we kind of talked a little bit before this. Do you want to jump into like the extra expenses of like being a homeowner? Because I actually can talk to like our fridge right now.
Okay.
The ice machine's busted. So this is something where this morning we were calling like the warranty on it to figure out like the filter and all this. There isn't just the office we call anymore. Like if you're in an apartment, they come out there like within an hour and then they figure it out. We have to go through like a warranty company. We're probably going to have to pay like the insurance coverage for it and all that. Someone to come out and like inspect it, see if it is covered. So
yeah,
it's fun.
That's the kind of stuff that can happen, and that's the probably the biggest difference when you come from renting to owning, because when you're renting all the appliances as well. So the stove breaks or the dishwasher breaks, your landlord's responsible for that. But in a house, you own everything, which can go both ways, because you own it. You can do whatever you want with it. I mean, I could paint the walls any color I want. I could put holes in the wall. I could literally do whatever I want, and it's my house to do it with. But, at the same time, like you said, an appliance breaks or there's like a broken pipe or whatever. Speaking of which, we might have, it's the only like, horror thing about this house is it looks like they saved a lot of money on the plumbing by using PVC instead of metal. And we talked to the plumber. Thankfully, we thought it was going to be like outrageous, but he's like, we could probably like replumb the whole thing for like $5,000, which I thought it would cost a lot more, because you have to remember they're going to like dig up your whole house from the and take out all the pipes and replace them. And it's just like, oh my God, like the people from Best Buy wouldn't even install our washing machine, because they're like, yeah, we're not allowed to do this unless it's metal. So yeah, if you buy a house, check the pipes, make sure they're metal. I don't know what that's all about.
Stuff you don't think about, because not just with our washer dryer, but also with our fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Girlfriend wanted like a filter for the ice machine. She's very particular about her water. She's
yes, of course,
specific about it, especially coming from California, right? Because I guess everyone has like soft water over there versus hard water. Yeah. Something I had no clue about until
California tap water is infamous for being disgusting, and it really is. And also, it turns red. Like if you leave it, like you know how water like builds up calcium or like white. It's red sometimes.
Like a rusty color?
No, like I don't know, like there's trace amounts of something. I looked it up, and it's just like something they use to purify the water, because they have to recycle some of the water, but I don't know what that's all about. So that's a thing.
That's weird. Anyway, so when we moved in, we bought a brand new fridge. It was $1,200. And that's also something we didn't think about, because when you move in an apartment, everything's there, like your stove, your microwave, your toilet. You come into a house, it's like whatever furniture you have, that's like all this extra space, which is fantastic. But now it's like, now I got to furnish it. If you have something like a refrigerator that you need daily that's not there, you got to go buy one. Then that's deciding, do I want to just get a fridge that can like make stuff cold, or do I want to invest in an appliance that's going to be around for a while?
Yeah.
Then you have to then kind of balance like, okay, what am I willing to spend? Do I need this like table and chair to sit on, or do I need a fridge that's going to be here with me for a while? And we go and finally buy this refrigerator. The ice machine needs like a whole separate hookup for the ice. So we have to then not only get a plumber out.
Oh, like the water line or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a brick house too. So it's great during like the summer and winter because it insulates. But that's more expensive to like break through to then tap into the water line. So, and it's just for ice on a refrigerator that we already spent that we didn't have. So it's all this extra like expense that you don't think of. Where if you were just in an apartment, there's your fridge. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's probably a really important thing to keep in mind, which you should always be consulting someone who already like has gone through buying a house if you're considering it, because there's all sorts of stuff like what we're talking about right now that you don't realize until you're already in it, and then you're like, you're screwed, because if you don't have the money for like a fridge, you're like, oh shit. And like, I think like the house is more important. I mean, if you have to get a cheap fridge from like, or even have one donated from like a relative who has like, people have like their garage fridge, like it's like, I'll give it back to you when I'm done. I just need something for now, whatever. But yeah, like, for us, so I got into the real lazy habit of just throwing money at all our problems when we were moving in, because like we needed this, then we needed that, and da-da-da. And I still had my savings, which are now like very, very depleted. And I'm like, oh my God, which shows like the importance of saving money. Like that's something I have to say is save money every month. I don't care how little it is, just save something and don't spend it. Just leave it there for emergencies, because you never know. But thankfully, I was able to cover, because there's a lot of like furniture companies and like appliances, like, from Best Buy and whatnot, where for like an extra $150, they'll come in and completely install it. So you don't have to worry about like, I mean, installing a stove is scary. What if you don't screw the gas line in correctly, you're going to blow up your house. Like, you just don't have to deal with all that. And it's comforting. I would rather spend the extra $150 to have a professional, install it, and then they're liable if anything happens to it. And then I don't have to worry about it.
That way you don't get blown up when you're trying to make your macaroni or something.
Yeah, but it was interesting because moving in, we had to have like priorities. It was like, okay, bed, fridge, stove. And then like, because I couldn't cook, we were eating like TV dinners because we had a microwave and that was it. But then, that's probably the way you go around, is just get what you need first. Because I mean, I've seen pictures where people moved into a place. Like, I don't know if you remember my apartment in college. Like, I had to save up forever to get a couch. So it was like that time when I just had the 4 like folding chairs in my living room as like a couch.
That was, oh my gosh, that was like early. I think when you had first moved in there, because I remember you had like it wasn't like a dance party, but you invited some of us over. You had like, weren't lawn chairs, right? Or
no, they were like cheap Walmart dining kitchen chairs that were just like fold chairs. It was all I had. It was college, but I was just so happy to have my own place. I was kind of blind to, because I know that there was people like Haiti and people walking in just being like, oh, okay. But I was just like, I have an apartment. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, I have all this room for activities and you're judging me because of my lawn furniture inside. Like, get out. Keep your bad vibes outside, kind of thing. Well, and that's the thing though too. Like you were able to financially get to a point where you had your own space. You were able to do that on your own, and that's another thing that people don't really talk about is once you move in somewhere, like you showed everyone a moment ago, like how empty it still is. Things aren't going to just pop up. You have to invest. Like I think it's been about 2 years finally, where we can say we don't need any more crap to be like decorative on the walls or any more bookshelves or chairs. Like we have everything. It's going to take a while to invest in all that and accumulate it, figure out like what your style is, what you want to do with like, I mean, I think we've gone maybe through like 2 coffee tables because they just weren't the right vibe.
Yeah.
That's all part of the process too, like visualizing a brand new space.
And, that's one of the really cool things about buying a house that I've never experienced before is when you're renting or like when you're in apartments, you just don't have that same sense of like pride. Like this is my place. I can decorate it how I want. And you want to really make it like a nice home. And I don't know, that's something that doesn't happen until you buy a house. And then all of a sudden you care. Like, going to the hardware store or the furniture store is a whole different world now than it was before. One, because I actually care and have like what I just said, but then also because I actually have room to like get stuff now. Cause like you said, I mean, it's empty, but I bought what I needed first. That was the most important thing.
Yeah. And that's kind of the cool part is that you have that, you kind of mentioned like sense of pride where it's like, it's your own space. You don't have to ask permission. If you want to color the walls pink and purple, you can do whatever you want. And I just think that's so awesome. And congrats, by the way. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. I'm really happy too. I can't wait for us to convert the one room into a sex room. But anyway, that's a different podcast for a different day.
You know how like there's rooms that you walk into that are like, like instead of a door, it's like beads.
Yeah.
You should have just like long dildos. Oh. So you just walk through and they kind of just slap you on the way in. So you know exactly what you're getting into.
No, they'd just be like hanging flashlights on strings. No one in our household uses dildos, so unless there's something I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but I mean, that's the level of do whatever the hell you want with your house that you can get to. And like, I don't mind telling how much I spent on this house, because if you saw how much my last apartment cost, my last apartment was maybe the size of this room and a little bigger. And I think when we bought it, it was $360,000, which was already sounds insane, but it was actually an amazing deal when we got it. This house that I'm in right now, which is maybe 4 times as big, and I have a yard and all the benefits that come with a house, $150,000.
Oh, insane.
And I mean,
you have so much space too. I was showing girlfriend, because when I asked you for the address, we were doing the satellite view.
Mm-hmm.
I was not that I'm jealous per se, because we do have a pretty big backyard, but I think that you just have the space that's set up in a way that you could do like a really cool thing in the garage, or that, you know, like that little is that little space, like, is that a garage for like a car or something?
Yeah, well, it's like there's the space for the car, and then there's like an extra space on the side, like not for another car, but there's enough that I could put like a table there, and like, you know, if I need to spray paint or do anything like that. Yeah, but your house has a really nice backyard.
Oh, I know, but like we have a giant pool house casita thing,
which you could turn into literally anything. Although it was humid as fuck when I went in there. In case you guys don't know, I was lucky enough to stop and actually visit Lopez and see his house. It's in the vlog. Awesome. I hope. I was so excited. I don't know if that vlog's actually gonna go like live. Like, I don't know if people care, you know, but whatever. I'm probably just gonna do it anyway, because it was like 2,000 miles, 5-day drive. Oh, I have a video that I recorded just for you, and I forgot to send it to you. I was like driving in the middle of this horrendous thunderstorm. It was like, I mean, it was just like someone was dumping an Olympic pool on our car.
Hey Lopez, remember when you were like, you're a terrible driver. How do you even have a license? You have a car?
It's like
typhoon. That's awesome.
As the car's flipping. You think I'm a bad driver?
What state was that
in? Maybe Missouri. It might have been Oklahoma. I don't know. We were in so many states. It was weird. I lost track of like where I was, who I was, what day it was.
But which one was the most boring to like drive through?
Probably New Mexico, but it's because we didn't ever go near anything resembling civilization.
Okay.
Like from New Mexico into Arizona or vice versa, whichever way, there was just nothing but desert. So it was really pretty on some places. It looked like Unreal Engine 5, like showing off the new lighting or whatever.
You're like, wow, I can model that. That's awesome. No, I personally never been to New Mexico, even though it's like right next door. But I feel it would look similar to Arizona.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Arizona's sister or cousin or whatever.
Cousin sister.
Yeah. So our route, we drove, in case you guys don't know, like there's so many British people, or like people they don't understand how big America is. And like, I've had my British friends, like when I was in Tokyo, where they're like, oh yeah, we're going to go to New York and then we're going to drive down to LA. And I'm like, oh really? You're going to drive all the way from New York to LA? Good luck with that. And they're like, well, it should take like what, a day or two, right? And I'm just like, oh my sweet baby. Like, it's because in their country you drive 8 hours and you're either in another country or in the ocean. Like, you know, they're really small countries.
Or you're like, oh, giblets, I did it again.
Like, I think like the entirety of the UK is like the size of Texas. So like if you crammed it all in, I bet I think it would, more or less.
Maybe. Yeah, no, Texas is pretty big though.
Yeah, Texas is like enormous. I think that is our biggest state. Anyway, so our route was California, and then we went to Phoenix, and then we went to, that's where you are, and then Phoenix to Albuquerque to Oklahoma City, and then Oklahoma City to, we went outside of not St. Louis. What is that city? in Missouri. No, yeah. St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah. And then here. Oh, it was just like 8 hours every day of driving, and you just want to like kill yourself.
Yeah, no, did you guys ever sleep in like the car, or was it always a hotel motel kind of situation?
We had the luxury of being able to afford hotels. I am very aware that I had a very privileged moving experience, because I know some people just throw what they have in their car and go and, sleep in Walmart parking lots, but we stayed in, pretty decent hotels the whole way. And I mean, that's kind of added to the cost if you're moving across country, but I think most people don't do it the way we did. And also, if you are going to do it, I would recommend doing what we did with, instead of getting a U-Haul or anything like that, we got, they're called pods, and they're like these big, like kind of like those shipping containers on the back of semis. But if you just cut like a slice out of it, and then it's like they deliver it to you, you fill it with all your stuff, close it, lock it, they come and pick it up, and then they drive it to wherever you're going. So it'll get here like a week after you do. And then you just unload it, and then you've got your stuff. And it's probably the cheapest thing. And you can also haggle, because they were going to charge us $5,000 and we got them down to like $3,500. So
I'd feel like I'd be nervous to haggle my own stuff. Like, yeah, we can do $3,500, and then I don't know, like maybe only 4 of the 5 pods show up. Like, hey, what happened to my
I should
stuff?
mention the reason we were able to get that price is their competitor was offering that rate. And we were like, we're going to go with them. And they were like, no, we'll do it for that. I was like, okay.
I just imagine like with you trying to pack all your stuff. Remember that scene from SpongeBob, Man Ray? Where,
the wallets.
With the wallets. Like, what's in this box? My wallets. That's one thing that I feel when you're moving is the absolute worst. Mm-hmm. And I love my books, and you know that.
I was about to tell you the heaviest box by far was the one with all the books in it. Oh my God. I actually had to bring it up the stairs today, and I was like,
well, so our apartment was on the 3rd floor. So having to move all our crap 3 flights down, we had that luxury as well too, to hire up a moving company. But before I lived with girlfriend, I lived on my own, and I lived on the 2nd floor. So I was by myself carrying like my desk on my back, which is not safe. And, I'd say that's another expense too that you don't think about when you're moving. You think you're just gonna like sell your place, down payment, maybe start up the utilities. There's co-pays for all that, maybe a few appliances. There's boxes that you have to buy. Mm-hmm. There's gas to get you to where you're going. The pod thing that you said, like we had to hire like a moving company with the whole truck and stuff. Like it's an ordeal. Yeah, it's insane.
It's worth it, right? In the end,
100%. Well, then think about it too. Like the amount that you pay every month, and again, it's not to say that in an apartment isn't okay. I was in an apartment renting for years, but we were ready to again start investing. And again, we happened to kind of move into the right spot at the right time to do that. Because essentially we're paying, if not maybe like $200 to $300 less, the same amount we were renting, but now we have a whole house. So it was definitely worth it financially.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you said that word investing, because that's something that I'm still trying to get into the mindset of, but it's something that everyone should understand. When you're renting, you are literally throwing money out the window. All that money you spend every month on rent goes towards nothing. Like they can kick you out the next month. Oh, well, whatever. But when you have a home, whether it's an apartment you own, like a condo, a house, whatever, you are like putting money towards that. So it's kind of like imagine like an experience bar in an RPG. Every time you put money, it fills up a little more and a little more. And when that bar is full, you don't have to pay anymore, and now you own it and you can sell it. So like that's one of the number one things that I try to tell people is like, where they're like, well, I don't want to buy a house. And also people don't understand, I didn't know any of this because they don't teach it in school in America, but like you don't have to pay the full amount of a house. You don't have to pay the house off before you sell it. There's all these little things, you could have like a house for, I don't know, a year and have only paid like whatever the monthly payment was, and then sell it. Right. And you can still do very well like that. And here's another thing I learned from my partner who's really big into real estate. If you live somewhere for 2 years, when you sell it, you don't have to pay any taxes on it. And that's a great way to just keep making money every 2 years. And I mean, like, good money. Like, okay, so for example, just hypothetically, let's say you buy a house for 100,000, the value goes up and you're able to sell it for 150. If you only live there for like a year and 3 months, you wouldn't be able to have that tax break. So you would lose maybe like 40% of that 150,000. That's a lot, you know? But like, if you wait 2 years and then sell it and keep the house or whatever the place is in nice condition, you know, that's what we did. And we were able to use the down payment, like, or the money from that house came in and helped with this new move. So
the positive equity.
Yeah. They don't teach us any of this. Like, you have to learn this all the hard way, which is why I wanted to do this podcast with you, because there's so much that, like, I got mad when I didn't know. And speaking of which, I'm going to go on a little rant, but I have to tell you guys something, especially if you're a millennial. We millennials are infamous for always bitching about things being unfair and like, oh, like, you know, we just want a house, like, you know, all the stuff that our parents had that they told us we would have, you know, go to college and you'll be fine. We didn't get any of that. Well, I'm here to happily tell you it's not your fault. It's not our fault. It's actually Wall Street who's it's half Wall Street and then half like the 2008 financial crisis. 60 Minutes did this whole expose. It was really crazy. Look it up on YouTube if you want to see the full thing. But basically, the 2008 recession happened. Everyone freaked out and everyone stopped building houses, which we still needed. So that is already a problem. We're like 4 million houses short or something like that. I don't know. It's a really large number. And then on top of that, it's compounded by people who bought their starter homes aren't moving out of them because they can't afford it. And the biggest thing, and this made me so angry, but also like relieved that it wasn't my fault, is these corporate assholes are coming in and they're buying houses, literally cash completely without even looking at the house. And these are houses that people are desperately trying to get for like their families or whatever. I mean, they showed like people lining around the block trying to just see a house. You don't see that every day. It was crazy. And they'll do like some minor repairs, flip it a little bit, and then rent it out. So the CEO was actually on camera and he's like, well, people can't have the American dream, but they can rent it. And he like thought that was a good thing. And I was just like, oh my fucking God, like Jesus Christ. And it's about 30 to 40% of homes that they've done this to. It's like, it's a really big thing. And then I just learned about like people losing their mobile homes now. It's just like fucking, oh.
What a scuzzbag. I feel like poop on his car or something. Or like his porch.
I'm gonna poop on his face, give him a hot Carl.
What? Is it called a hot Carl?
It actually is. I looked it up the other day because I was like, what's a hot Carl? And then I was like, oh God.
What if you actually meet like an attractive like person named Carl? Would you say?
Then you call
like,
them attractive Carl.
Damn,
Carl, you're attractive.
He's like, how come you never called me hot Carl? Like, no.
Don't say it. No.
That's hilarious.
Oh, Urban Dictionary.
Oh, I thought you went somewhere else. That's usually where I go too. I thought you.
Well, I never know. I'm like, how official are these? But I know that I've heard hot Carl before. And while we're on that subject, this is the last of it. A Cleveland steamer is the same thing, but on someone's chest. And that word is ruined for me because when I worked at Starbucks, there's actually a drink called a steamer. And whenever people would order it, I'm just like, okay. Anyway, back to real estate. That's not what people came here for, Lopez. Disgusting.
You brought it up.
I did bring it up. All right. Well, we kind of talked about like, you know, renting versus buying, hidden costs. I wrote down a bullet point before this video because I really wanted to make sure we gave you guys all the information. Probably the number one thing I love, and I'm still getting used to this, is I can have loud TV shows and music and movies and I don't have to worry about a neighbor. And on the other side of that, I don't have to listen to someone on the other side of a wall blaring bass at random times really inconsiderately, or people like screaming or whatever, we're still like turning down the volume when there's like an explosion in like a TV show, because it's like, oh, and it's like, it's weird. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to get used to just being able to have sound and walk around without like tiptoeing and being quiet.
It's like a habit. Yeah, no, especially like the way you walk in an apartment, like you're really aware that you're making noise, so you try not to. And that's definitely something where you're like, oh, I could just turn on, my video games like super loud and like not give a shit because my neighbors like are enough away to not care. So that's really cool.
It's weird. Like I can play Just Dance. I could sing karaoke. I could, well, now that I have blinds, I can walk around naked. Although I could do that in an apartment. It's like one of the few pleasures you can experience in any home.
Somebody stole your blinds in your apartment. It's like, you ever seen The Mask?
I love The Mask.
I love The Mask. And when he's like, somebody stole your pajamas, and he's like, I don't know. Anyway, no, yeah. So that I guess you were saying that you were probably going to have like a follow up for more specific questions. But,
yeah, I was actually about to say that if you guys are watching this and you want to know more that we're not covering because we're stupid and forgetful, please leave comments in the description, in the comment section, and we'd be very happy to do a follow-up and answer any questions about buying a house that you may have. I've learned pretty much the whole process and everything involved, everything from like what areas of the country are good, like mortgages, loans, all that stuff. Although I do want to mention that right now loans are kind of crazy because the interest rate just changed and everything's about to go into like who knows what direction. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, like, I mean, I think we'd be able to cover most questions between the two of us.
I think so. If not, then we can always pretend.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah. What? No, like it's crazy how affordable housing is over here. Like when we were looking, we could have literally, if we wanted to, gotten like a 10-bedroom house, like literally living in the Resident Evil mansion. But I was like, that's too much. Like no one needs that much space. Like if like you and your girlfriend and maybe some friends were like living in my house with me, then yeah, a 10-bedroom, sure,
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
I would definitely say too, like you also have to be like realistic. When we were looking around, we looked at several spots and we really thought about it. And so we started with like family room, an office for me and girlfriend, like a dining hall, like all these different things that kind of sound like bougie and thus maybe like very privilegey, I guess. But when you really start to like look at your like finances and I know. I think your home also should be that, your home. You should be able to like you saw my office. It's my space. It's all decorated. There's all my junk in it. And if you have that privilege or luxury to be able to find that, you have to then say, do I need a second bedroom that I'm never going to use? Or is it something where if I have my own little art space, like for me personally, that was really important. You have to make those compromises or willingness to say, this is what I want to invest in. This is what I want to pay for. And I think that also plays a big part into being able to afford the right house for you, when you're looking. Because then you get like crazy, like, oh, I want to do this and that. And it's like, great, but slow down, especially if it's your first house. There's a lot, like we talked about those expenses that you don't think about. So until you actually have that, like, can't tell you how many times our water heater's blown out. That's definitely something that you have to like worry about too. Like I can't wait to text you to say, hey, guess what?
No, actually ours just got replaced because they failed the inspection. So they just fixed it. So we're okay because I worried about that too.
Yeah, that's something that, that can just randomly happen. And then same thing, you don't have that like safety net of the complex or the apartment coming in to like replace it for you.
If you're lucky. Because that's the other thing that's happening right now too, is so many people are saying that the rents are going up and then like there's no benefit from it. They're just like gouging people for no reason. Like they still have broken, washing machines in the laundry room and all that stuff. And like it's literally highway robbery. They're just raising the rent because they can. And it's so evil and it makes me so mad.
Yeah. I was really upset to like hear and read a lot of like the stuff during like the pandemic, like with the renter pause and stuff, and then how people like certain like apartments and stuff were just like fighting against that. It's like these people have been tenants and are like have lives and families and are everyone's struggling, and yet you still want to. I get it. It's a business. You have to make your money too, as a complex that rents out. But during those times when they were so willing just to like kick someone out versus like negotiate or have that conversation. And again, being in a home, you don't have to worry about that. It does take a lot of work financially, and you have to be very smart with your money too to be able to get to that.
Yeah, which again is why savings are really important. So if you're someone watching this right now and you're thinking you can never afford a house, remember, you just need the down payment, and you also need to have like, it's really good to have good credit, which is easy to repair. But like, even if you were saving $50 a month, because that's all you can save, that's $50 more a month that you didn't have before. And like, just saving over time, eventually you can get to a point where you're like, I have enough money for a down payment. And then you might be thinking, well, I can put the down payment, but then I can't pay the mortgage. If you're doing what I did, I went from a tiny little shitty condo for $2,300 a month that my desk was in the living room. I had nowhere to work. I was just like, I felt like I was in a cage, to now this big, like, well, comparatively speaking, big house for $900 a month. I mean, I'm going to end up saving so much money now that I've moved. I know that, like we just talked about, spending all that money and all that, but over time, and it's not just financial, you're also like investing in your own sanity, your happiness, because I didn't realize how crazy I was getting in that apartment with all the neighbors and the noise, because apartment life is just like that. But now, I mean, even just 2 weeks here, I'm like, like, I feel like I can like live again,
Oh, I would just also probably throw out there too, like where you were in California, cost of living is insane. That's also something to like think about too. I think comparatively, your dollar goes a lot further in Ohio as to like why you were able to get such like a wonderful place there too. Because to hear that that's what you guys were paying for your condo or your apartment or whatever, that's insane. That's crazy.
It is insane. And that they were going to raise it even more than that. And I was just like,
yeah, no.
Not for us, because it was a mixed building. So it was like half owners, half renters. And it's really funny because you can tell who the renters are because they don't care. They will play their music really loud. They'll leave their garbage bags outside of their like door on the balcony. Like there's just no respect for anything when you've got renters in your building. And like, it's all of California. And I mean, I can't tell you, the bidding war was so crazy. We sold in one day. We listed it and sold on the same day. And every single offer was over asking price. Like people were just throwing money at us like, please, please, please. Like, and we had cash offers from like investors, and we were like, no, we could have sold it for a little more, but I couldn't have that on my conscience because I just can't support that. It's disgusting.
Well, and I would say too, like, I've lived with some pretty nice neighbors in my years, because I'd say like since college, after like I got kicked out of my house, I've been in an apartment. Mm. Sometimes you have good neighbors, and renters for the most part are pretty chill. I think it's just shitty people.
Yeah.
They're shitty. It doesn't matter where you go. They're just always going to be like crappy.
But the problem is the proximity.
What do you mean?
Because there's a huge difference between someone being in a different house and someone being on the other side of a wall. Oh
yeah, no, of course. Well, that's there was times too. So there was certain places where I lived that were pretty sketch. Like it was like free utilities. I was like, yeah, great, because more money than I'm saving. But like the walls were kind of paper thin. So there's certain instances where like you're kind of compromising on like where you're living. But the place that it was always like the most like I realized it was when I'm in the bathroom and I'm going, and then I can also hear someone in their bathroom, like right behind the wall. And I'm like, ooh, okay, let me be extra quiet. We don't have to worry about that anymore. I can blow it up, do my own thing.
Yeah, no, it was the same thing in my previous place. Like I would just be like, there was one time I'm like brushing my teeth and you just hear like the sound of peeing really loud. And I was just like, my neighbor's home.
Hello.
Or I can literally push my ear against the wall and listen to their full conversation about Call of Duty, and then listen to an hour of explosions because they're playing Call of Duty. Oh my God. And then it was weird because bass is like the worst thing ever in apartments, because like we'd be in our apartment and you hear like boof, 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 and it's like, oh my God. But then you go and he has his window open and he's listening to like easy listening, like R&B, like that doesn't sound anything like that. It's just the bass. Yeah. And I tried to tell him, I was like, can you just come into my apartment so you can hear what I hear? And he's like, no, it's okay. And I'm just like,
can you turn down your easy listening for me, please?
Well, I know, and I probably look like such an asshole, but I guarantee you, people don't realize how strong bass is. Like, what I would tell people is like, you should have your subwoofer or whatever on top of like a piece of foam or like a shoebox or something, so it's not directly on the floor, because you're bothering everyone that way if you live in an apartment.
If I lived on top of you, like in an apartment, I would like turn all my speakers down to purposefully put on Baby Shark or something just to bug you.
Oh my God. I actually like built up the courage to go tell him to turn his music down one time. It was like the scariest thing ever, because he had just moved in, but I mean, it was insufferable. I had to. And I literally walked up to his door and I was like, I can't do this. And I went back inside like 3 times. And then I finally was like, okay. And then I just knocked, and then I was like, fuck. And I was like, I can't run away now. And then he finally came out, and then I just was really nice about it. And he was cool. And then he went inside, immediately bass started right back up. I was just like, but
can I just real quick just say that like knocking on people's doors gives me such anxiety, and people knocking on my doors, like 10 times more. Do
you do that thing where someone knocks on your door and you run and hide and just kind of peek through the curtain until they go away?
We have that camera system. We were talking about it.
Oh, I want to ask you about that, because I want to get one of those, but I don't know what you have to do. But anyway, continue.
We have a ring system, so it's like someone walks up, motion sensor goes off, and then I click the notification on my phone, and it'll switch right into the camera. So the whole time I'm doing that, but through my phone, I'm like looking to see.
But do you have to have someone come and install it?
Did it all myself.
But does it involve like wires and stuff?
It's all wireless through Wi-Fi.
Oh, how do you keep them from just ripping it off your wall? Is it screwed in or what?
So the doorbell camera just like sandwiches between the door. It's like a peephole.
But doesn't it require power?
There's batteries inside that are rechargeable. So every 3 to 4 months, depending on like how many people are like coming up to our door, it'll last for almost like 3 to 4 months.
Oh.
And then it'll tell you, hey, front door camera or side camera is getting low. And I always like to charge them at 20% just because I still like to have it where because you can also get a camera that has 2 battery slots. So when one starts because it's always running, I would take one out, charge it, maybe about 4 or 5 hours. I just like put it in before I go to work. I charge it, then come home and just re-plug it back in. So they're always running. It's super simple. Like
okay.
You guys could do it.
Yeah, because I want to get. I definitely wanted to do that. Porch pirates. God help the person who steals my package. Let me just tell you.
Well, and I did it because one, I want to make sure girlfriend's safe. We have a pool in the backyard. I want to make sure the dogs don't fall in or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know how many like books I order. So like, I was work from home. As soon as it went off, I was like, "Hey, my book's here. I'm gonna run real quick while I'm talking to someone on the phone." I'm like, "Can I put you on hold real fast? To like check your account." And
please hold for a moment while I verify your account. And you're like, "My book,
my book's here." Yeah, no, don't. It's bad. But no, now that I'm at work back in the office, it's like, okay, that book better be there when I get home. And if it's not, I have a whole camera to tell who stole it. Because that's a real concern. I see so many TikToks and like things on Instagram where people just like have their shit swiped. No, so people will knock on your door. If you're a homeowner, you will have solar panel people come. You will have gardeners come knock on your door. You'll have like angry neighbors that like, hey, your trash is blowing in our yard. It's like, that's not even my trash. Get out of my property. You'll have people that want to sell you like cookies. You'll have like Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses showing up. You'll have people that want to do like surveys. The city will like so many people knock on your door on a consistent basis. That's something that like I forgot not living in a house. It's just a thing. So
I haven't had anyone knock on our door yet.
Really? Okay. Like maybe it's just in Arizona then where we live because there's just a crap ton of people. always have like, are you the pizza guy? No. Then I don't
But
want
see, it's people trying to like make ends meet, doing extra jobs and stuff like that. So maybe that's
fine.
part of it.
That's fine. But I'm also someone that doesn't like don't knock on my door.
Like door-to-door prostitutes. Like, may I interest you in?
I don't know.
Oh God! And then afterwards, she goes across the street, knocks on, and then you see her going to his house, and then it's like, wait. You're like, I thought what we had was special.
Okay. Shame.
I'm surprised that's not a thing. That would be really convenient for a lot of people. Like, people with disabilities and stuff need that, okay?
Yeah, sex work is work. I agree.
There are some lonely, horny people out there. Horny nerds.
All I'm saying, I don't even know where we're going with this conversation.
Yeah, sorry.
Is that when you have a house, getting used to like the responsibility of like, hey, I got to acknowledge that if someone walks up, I have a piece of property that I got to take care of. Like, what are you doing? Why are you here? And then I kind of joked about it. Like, my neighbors will come over and say, hey, like your leaves are blowing over. So every so often, like when we're texting, I'll tell you like, hey, I got to do the front yard. I'm literally out there for a few hours. Like, you have like the maintenance and like the upkeep of a home. It's a lot of time.
Well, and that's another thing here, like because of the rain and everything, like everything grows like crazy. Like our grass, I mean, we've already had to mow it twice and we've only been here like 2 days. And in fact, what you were saying about the neighbors coming over, our next door neighbor is really cool, but he's very like New Jersey, even though he's from here. So like we literally just got here from our 5-day drive. We were exhausted. We did like just a little lap, like looked around the house. Okay, cool. Everything's fine. Whatever. We're going to go to the hotel because we're tired. As we're pulling out, he runs up to the car and he's like, hey, are you going to do something about this lawn? Because the grass was like, because no one had lived here for 6 years, I found out. But he like ran over it. We were just like, and I just leaned over and I was like, we literally just got here. And he's like, oh, okay.
I'm walking here.
No, but it was great because all the neighbors are like old people and they're all so nice. Like one of them brought us like a thing of cookies. I mean, so far it's been like living in The Sims. Like I'm just waiting for the reveal of like, just kidding, it's actually horrible.
Do you remember? I think it was the episode of the Rugrats, if I remember correctly, where like everyone came to like their picnic and brought Jell-O. Remember that episode?
Yeah.
I don't remember the context of the whole thing. Just
like everybody kept bringing the same and everyone
dish. Brought this. Yeah, it was all like different kinds of Jell-O, but everyone brought Jell-O, and then the mom kept on putting Jell-O in the refrigerator. That's what I imagined. It was just everyone coming over and bringing you guys like.
No, it was just one, but I would like to cook for them at some point. They're such sweet people, and they're so excited because like again, this house has been empty for 6 years, and then. You know, gays moving into the neighborhood, all of a sudden property values start going up. So they're happy about that. But no, like the couple across the street, the old man, he said he used to be in the Navy and he's got some sort of problem. I don't know if it's like Parkinson's or what, but he'll just be doing stuff like this in mid conversation. And it's like, whatever, but he's so funny and he literally just sits outside. He's probably outside right now and he'll just say hello. Like every car that drives by will honk and be like, hey. And like the best thing he said, and he's with his wife. There's a moving guy bringing stuff in and he had really big arms. Like he was this big muscular guy. And this little old man sitting across the street is like, yo, where'd you get them arms? It's like, what the hell? I was like, I want to be like that when I'm an old man.
Kind of sitting outside being cheeky.
He's like, hey, baby.
Move those boxes. Woo! Nice. Happy Pride, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Happy Pride.
I was going to ask, did you guys have to buy your own like lawnmower? Like
No, we just hired a lawn service because like neither of us know how to mow a lawn or take care of it. And then like it was all the neighbors. Like when we finally had the guy come out the same day as like emergency service and, you know, we tipped him extra and all that stuff. But all the neighbors came out and they were like celebrating like, oh, my God, it's being mowed. Ah, and like I was worried that they'd be annoyed with all the lawnmower noise, but they were so excited. I've never seen people come out to celebrate a lawn being mowed before. But yeah, so it's a big deal. Like, you know. But that's the thing is if you don't take care of your house, it affects all the other houses around you and people hate that shit because now you're ruining their properties. Like, you know, beautiful house next to a shitty house looks shitty.
Well, then you become that neighbor that just everyone like glares at too. You don't want to. You don't want to be that guy.
Well,
like when we were redoing our yard, I felt like that for like a few months before we like finally like got it together.
Why? Because of the noise or what?
No, just because I had gone out and like removed all the rocks, so it was just a dirt lot, and we hadn't put any plants or anything. So it just the whole time I'm like, everyone's got their pretty yards and their like sprinklers, and I'm like the desolate like junkyard dog outside, where people are like staring, and I'm like, please don't judge me. It's not there yet. We're safe.
Like, don't look. It's not finished.
Don't look. It's not ready yet. I'm covering my shame.
You just put like one of those termite things over your house, like
a carnival tent.
Yeah, like you'll see when it's done.
That's crazy. Well, that's cool. I personally, we went and we bought a lawnmower and a weed whacker, and it's all electric because we got to protect the planet, so that way we're not blowing a bunch of gas. But no, I do all that. I did that growing up, so that was something like girlfriend doesn't. She doesn't do any yard work, but I do. So that definitely saves. But also, every now and again, the leaves get really crazy. We'll spend maybe like $150, and someone will come out for an hour or two.
Yeah,
and clean all that up. So again, more expenses, more things to think about. Either are you spending money to have someone come out and do it, or are you doing it? And if you're doing it, and a day off from work, are you having to invest and take time out of? And again, how long is it going to take you? Do you have a partner that can help, or is it just by yourself? That kind of stuff. And
it's really nice when you do have a little like money to spend on stuff like that, because like we, how I told you the Best Buy people couldn't install our washing machine. We called a plumber and when we moved in, the bathroom sink didn't drain. So we had to call a plumber for that. So again, hidden costs, like there's always going to be something wrong that you have to fix when you move into a house. And then he came down, installed the washer and dryer, got it working. And we tipped him well as like, a thank you. And he was so grateful because he's like, I had a kid and we're desperately trying to get formula. So this money's going towards that. Thank you. And he was really like, and you have to remember that like anytime that you can pay someone to do anything and it's not like a big corporation or a big company, you're not just paying for a service or a good, you're paying for someone's kids like dance recital lessons, or you're paying for someone who's saving up to buy a house. I mean, you don't know what that money's going towards, but always feel good when you're doing that, and I highly recommend it because you'll get better service, better product. It's just better all around,
Isn't that the slogan for Home Depot?
Is it? I think. Isn't Home Depot, if you're here, your family?
Oh, that's Olive Garden. Oh. Why would you go to Home Depot to be family?
I don't know. Because everyone has wood.
It sounded similar.
Anyway.
Olive Garden?
So yeah, buying a house is awesome. You should do it. Yes. And if you're a millennial, it's not your fault that you don't have a house. The system fucked us just like they do with everything else. So at least take that in stride and know it's not you. But also don't buy a bunch of dumb shit and save some money.
I still have that problem.
Well, you do it moderately. Like you don't buy a book every single like day, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, right?
So exactly. So this is like one thing that me and girlfriend, like when we first got together, she did not like really, and I don't really share my finances with her. I mean, it's not like I'm secretive because she has access to everything. She just sees me as a responsible person. It's when I get paid, I'm like phone bill, internet, credit card, like car insurance, whatever I need to pay, I get that out of the way first. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, okay, it's a little bit of savings, and then here's my money / needing to make it to next paycheck. And then I look at, okay, well, what do I really want? And a lot of it is like my art books or art supplies, or I mean, if a video game or something comes out. So then I'm like, okay, I have $30 for books and maybe a video game. I could sometimes like lump them together, but it's like only this much is going to be spent during this pay period or just for the month. So what I've been doing like within the last couple of years, especially when I'm buying books, is like going to like thriftbooks.com or like searching like on Amazon, the different dealers and stuff. So that way it's only $2 or whatever. So I'm still buying like a few different books, but it's like within that $30 like budget.
Yeah, but you're actually budgeting. Like that's the thing is there's a lot of people who just buy stuff and are like, whatever. Like that's future me's problem. Don't do that. Like if you don't have the money, like you don't have the money, you're just gonna have to wait, But
future you will come really quick, and then you'll be presently sad.
Yeah, I was reading something about the other day where it's like you need to care about your future self as much as you do about your current self, and a lot of people don't, and that's like a really big problem.
I really want to at some point, and then maybe even we can get like Diamond or anyone else in here. But like, I know like Lisa is really good to like discuss like self-care, mental health. Like I've been going through a lot of different things, and I talked to you about like my medicine and stuff that I take for anxiety.
Yeah,
I think that's something that plays a big factor into it. Is when I was younger, it was such a cloud of like future, and I don't want to get too much into it, but like you almost start to like check out from like the world, how scary and stressful, or just how like if you are living paycheck to paycheck. And so again, getting to a point where, to tie it back into the whole home conversation, where you have that sense of comfort. This is your place. No one's coming to kick you out. You're saving a little bit. It definitely adds a lot to your like well-being. And I think, that's definitely caring for your future self, that investment in, being able to do something now for the better later.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. And Diamond really wants to do a podcast about mental health. So I'll talk to her and see if she wants to do it. Cause I think all three of us have very unique, different versions of like that as a topic. And maybe we can get people to send in questions or whatever. But, the thing I will say about that, and we're going to wrap up in a second cause we're already at an hour, but, there's an indescribable feeling once you're in a house that you own. Like it really does feel, it's like I'm safe. It's like how a bird must feel when they finish building their nest and they can just chill out in there. And then it's just like, like on top of a clock tower where no one will bother them. Like that's how it feels. It's just like, it's nice. I feel like a little mouse in like a really big habitat, and I'm just happy and relaxed. Like
a warming metaphor. You're just like a little bird.
Yeah,
proud.
I mean, that's what it feels like. I feel very safe and happy, and I know that I can decorate and do whatever I want, and it's almost like decision paralysis. Like there's so many things I could do that I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, is this going to go there? Am I going to do that? Oh, I could do this. Oh, what about that? And then it's like, but that's like a fun problem to have. It's not like stressful.
Yeah. So exactly. It's limitless, really. Lots of possibility, which is fantastic. Again, congrats, buddy.
Thank you. All right. And congrats to you too, retroactively, for having a house. I did get to see your house, and we thought it was really, really nice. Very beautiful.
I was blown away that you guys were even here. My question though, who was the first one to poop in your home?
Probably my partner. He poops a lot.
I made sure. I told girlfriend, I was like, move, I need to break this in. Like, I felt like doing that. Like it established it. Like when dogs pee on like a thing.
It's now yours.
Like, that was a exciting moment for me. Personally.
For me, it's taking a shower. Like that's my version of that, where it's like just a nice shower where I don't have to like
break it in.
Like I took a shower without setting off the smoke detector. And I know that sounds random and stupid, but our last apartment was so small that when I would open the door and the steam from the shower would come out, it would set off the fucking smoke detector. That's how small the apartment was. So just being able to do that here was like, and I can open the window. There's no helicopters. I mean, it just goes on and on.
I do miss, was it the first apartment you lived in? The alley?
Oh God. Yeah. That was a whole... Yeah. So I lived near these I lived in these lofts apartments, which were expensive, and the people there were awful because they all had money and they were fucking just horrible people. But we lived right over an alley that was right next to a bar. So you'd have drunk people coming at like 2 a.m. and sometimes they'd stay there and make a whole bunch of noise. So I was Snapchat recording them, and I just would be like, this week on the alley. And I mean, you saw everything happen in the alley. People doing drugs, people fighting, people hooking up. In fact, one time I went out a side door to go get Starbucks. I literally bumped into people having sex. Literally bumped into them. And it was just like, oh God, okay.
That was like my favorite to watch every time because it was almost like a CW original. Every time
I need to like find those. I could put those on TikTok because there's like a whole saga, like literally. I mean, I probably had like 100 of those. I had a flashlight that I would shine on people so they think like security's coming or whatever. It was surprisingly effective.
No, people don't like when they're trying to do it and you're flashing lights.
No, they all did this thing where they're like, you see them lean in and then they all say something and then they all leave. So, they're like, oh shit, someone's coming. Yeah, let's get out of here. Let's just pretend like we're supposed to be where we're going.
Not doing drugs.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you so much, buddy, for being on this and sharing what we've learned through this whole home buying thing.
Yeah. Definitely, if there's questions, ask in the comments, just because I feel like we could probably answer a little bit more specifically.
Yeah, I'll put you in charge of the comments or the Q&A.
Q&A. Okay. There's a lot that goes into it. I feel like there's a lot more to kind of discuss, but
yeah, like I feel like there's so much that we're missing, but it's just there's so much to cover. But again, questions that you have about buying a house, especially if you're young and you've never bought a home or anything like that, you don't know renting versus buying, mortgages, all that stuff, we'd be happy to answer all of that. But we are going to end this here. Thank you so much to everyone who watched this episode and all the other podcast episodes. We're still kind of figuring out the podcast thing. Like, it's a new thing. We're just having fun, having discussions. But if there's anything else that you'd like us to talk about, any other suggestions, please leave them in the comments. And we will see you next time. Take care.
Bye.